There's only one time that I use punishment to motivate my players, and it's very effective. But in general, I don't use punishment. But if we're doing serve drills and the serves are going in the net, then if I have a group of players, every 3 serves that go in the net, everybody does 10 push-ups. And you'd be surprised how that motivates young people to really hit up and out on that serve and make sure they hit a deep serve. But that's the only example of that. And I try to frame it positively. I say, now, they say, you kids, that you shouldn't punish people with exercise, so we're going to do it this way. If for every 3 balls you hit in the net, I'm going to reward you with push-ups, and then that will make you stronger so you can lift the 2-ounce ball over the net. And then they usually find that somewhat amusing.
Yeah, well,
so do you think that violates
approach? Yeah.
Do you think it violates the punishment approach?
No. What I would want to do in all cases, I prefer to interview each child and ask them how they feel about that. And if they're happy with it, I love it.
Okay. No, I'll take that. I'll take that. So everybody, who's listening, I'm getting lessons from Vic right now. So I hope you are too. So what are some of the finer points of playing at a high level that sometimes people miss? I know you alluded to the trying to roll over the ball thing that doesn't really exist. What's another example of a myth out there about how to play at a high level?
Well, I think the key thing here for me, though, from a neuroscientific side, is to stay in the front of the brain. The frontal cortex is the one where you do your best thinking. Dr. Amen was very helpful to me, the brain imager, who's done over 100,000 brain images. But I don't know if you've read the book Blink. I'm in that book, and I predicted 16 out of 17 double faults in pro tennis. And when you look at people whose shoulders are shrugging, they're mad that they gave up a key point, or they were 40 love, lost the game. You see the shoulders jerk, the head come down. And it turned out that when I saw that, I knew that the front of the brain was going black, and they're going to the back of the brain. And that's what helped me. And then also, I was doing a study for Israel with a group of people who had an interest in it, and I went along with them about how to recognize a terrorist carrying a 10-pound bomb. But along the way, we met Dr. Medioni at University of Southern California, who had developed a system where he could scan a crowd in a tennis stadium, for example, and get every dimension on your face, from the nose to the ears, the size of the nostrils, the mouth. And so while I was doing it, I did it on Federer. And it was interesting to me that when Federer was playing on grass, his eyes were open a certain number of degrees. The edges of his mouth were up. And when he played Nadal on clay, the edges of his mouth were down, and his eyes were closed a little more.
And it just really goes to show. So, what do you think it's possible for Federer to change his attitude and then thus also change his affect?
Well, it's always possible. When he broke his racket in Florida last year, a couple of media guys called me and said he's done. I said, no, he's very intelligent. He's an intuitive thinker. And I said, he'll realize he's regressing back to
his affect.
Well, it's always possible. When he broke his racket in Florida last year, a couple of media guys called me and said he's done. I said, no, he's very intelligent. He's an intuitive thinker. And I said, he'll realize he's regressing back to his childhood kind of performances, which he admits. And I said, he'll pull it together. And next month he beat Nadal on clay in Germany. But that's one of the very few victories he's ever had. But yeah, he can change. But now at his age, I think he's really keeps weighing retirement versus non-retirement, and he's done it all. And there's not too much to get excited about anymore, but he's been so great for tennis that I just hope he stays in.
Yeah, one of my favorite Federer moments of all time was that quarterfinal against Agassi at the Open, and they were one set apiece. Agassi was up a break and was in danger of going up another break in the second. And then, so Agassi hit some stupendous shot after a long rally, and the crowd was going crazy, and so did Federer. I think most people missed this. Federer gave a Klingon death cry at that moment. And then from that moment on, that began him winning 21 of the next 25 games and just obliterated Agassi. So I think part of what Federer has learned is to get that one burst of anger out and use that as fuel and not continually do that.
Yeah, he's a very, very intelligent young man, and he's been so good for tennis, and he gives back to the game. He's really matured, and we find some players on the tour never seem to mature. They're just angry at the beginning, angry at the end, and Roger's just the reverse.
Okay, great. Let's shift gears. What advice would you give to parents and players as they navigate the competitive zone of junior tennis?
Well, first of all, I think parents need to know that if they make any gestures in the stands, it's only to enhance performance. But when we did some EMG work and wired up a player and parent gave it an ugly look, it changes the signal in the brain. And it's very difficult for parents to understand that they do affect the brain. Everything's in the brain. We keep talking about muscle memory, and I made that mistake 30 years ago, but the muscle has no memory. Memory is stored in the brain. Muscle has no place to store memory. And so when they do, we even did a doubles team, and we had one player give the partner a dirty look, changed the signal completely on the partner. So facial expressions, hand expressions, things like that. The best thing is to tell your son or daughter, all I care about in the stands, I don't care whether you win or you lose, all I care about is that you've really tried to focus on each shot. If you've done that, you're a winner in my mind. And then let it go with that.
It sounds like that stuff that your mother taught you, that if your face can't say something nice, then it shouldn't say anything at all. Right?
Yeah, you're right. But when you see players looking into the stands, I go, oh, my goodness. But one of the guys that handled that better than almost anybody was Pete Sampras in my club. When I built the Jack Kramer Club with Jack, and Pete was part of that club, and Pete Fisher is coach, and then I think Robert Lansdorp did something with him too. But Pete came to spend a lot of time at my school, and Sampras. A lot of people don't realize that some of the coaches said he was the worst kid in the club. And he quit to play baseball, and Stella made him stay. His sister made him stay, and he had at one of the parties he announced he was giving her $100,000 for a women's UCLA team for keeping him in tennis. But he had an approach where he always wanted to play up, and he learned how to take defeats, and he just became such a sensational player and a nice person. So. Here's a guy that had his own system for